he wasn't a drunk, but I mean, he stopped drinking entirely. He cleaned up his act, and a blood clot somewhere developed in his leg and got to his heart before they could get him to the hospital.
David Canary, a celebrated actor best known for his remarkable performances on television, held a special place in the hearts of fans for his versatility, charm, and talent. Yet, beyond the accolades and public appearances, there were stories and truths that he carried with him quietly, personal insights, reflections, and revelations that only surfaced in private moments. One such revelation, shared shortly before his passing, stunned those who knew him and even the fans who grew up watching his iconic roles. Hoss Cartwright, the beloved character from the legendary series Bonanza, became a cultural icon thanks to his warmth, humor, and moral compass. Audiences admired him, loved him, and often blurred the lines between actor and character, assuming the man behind the role mirrored the on-screen persona. But David Canary's recent confession before his death shattered that perception, revealing a side of Hoss Cartwright that had never been publicly acknowledged. What was it about the character, the show, or the experience of portraying Hoss that Canary found so unexpected, surprising, or even disillusioning? The revelation raises questions about the realities of Hollywood, the pressures of fame, and the hidden truths behind seemingly perfect characters. Fans who cherished Hoss Cartwright for his charm and relatability are now confronted with an entirely different perspective, one that challenges the innocence of their memories and offers a glimpse into the complexity of bringing such an iconic figure to life. For this story is more than just a behind-the-scenes secret. It's a deeply personal insight from an actor who dedicated his life to his craft. David Canary's disclosure invites fans to look closer, reconsider their assumptions, and understand the man behind the beloved Hoss Cartwright in a way they never have before. David Canary's career in television spanned decades, marked by versatility, charisma, and a dedication to his craft that earned him admiration from colleagues and fans alike. While many remember him for his later roles in soap operas like All My Children, it was his connection to Bonanza and the iconic character of Hoss Cartwright that cemented his place in television history. Hoss, the gentle giant of the Cartwright family, was beloved for his warmth, humor, and sense of morality. He was a character audiences trusted, loved, and felt they could rely on. A rare figure in a genre often dominated by rugged individualism and moral ambiguity. For many viewers, Hoss Cartwright was more than just a fictional character. He represented a certain ideal, loyalty, integrity, and a kind-hearted nature that resonated across generations. David Canary, through his portrayals and interactions with the cast, understood this responsibility deeply. He knew that fans projected their affection for Hoss onto the actor himself, often assuming that the on-screen warmth mirrored the real personality of the person playing him. But as Canary revealed near the end of his life, the reality behind the role was far more complex than anyone imagined. Behind the scenes, the making of Bonanza was a combination of creative brilliance and personal challenges. Canary, like many actors of his time, had to navigate demanding shooting schedules, character expectations, and the pressures of maintaining a consistent public image. He became a key figure in bringing Hoss to life, not just through the scripts but through his nuanced performance that allowed viewers to believe in the character's authenticity. Yet, even as the public adored him, the actor faced the quiet strain of balancing public perception with private truth, a balancing act that few outside the industry fully understand. What made Hoss Cartwright so iconic also added pressure. Audiences loved Hoss for his kindness, loyalty, and unwavering moral compass. But Canary knew that the character's simplicity was carefully crafted and carefully performed. Behind every smile, gesture, and moral decision on screen, there was an actor interpreting, adjusting, and sometimes wrestling with the complexities that reality and Hollywood demanded. Fans assumed the gentleness of Hoss reflected the gentleness of those portraying him. But Canary's revelation before his death suggested that even beloved characters have layers unseen by the public. As David Canary matured in his career, he began to recognize the power and influence a single role could have on both his life and the lives of viewers. Hoss Cartwright was not merely a part he played, it became a symbol, an enduring figure who shaped the cultural memory of an entire generation. This influence, however, came with a silent weight. Canary carried insights and experiences from the production of the show, from interactions with co-stars, and from the demands of Hollywood, that contrasted sharply with the public's idealized view of Haas. And it was only in the final years of his life that Canary chose to speak openly about these truths. He wanted to set the record straight, to share with the world the complexity behind the role, and to reveal the reality of what it took to inhabit a character as cherished as Haas Cartwright. What he shared surprised many, challenged assumptions, and added a deeper dimension to the legacy of both the character and the actor who brought him to life. The story of Haas Cartwright, as told by David Canary, reminds us that every beloved character carries a human story behind the scenes, a story of dedication, struggle, and often truths that are hidden from the adoring public. And in Canary's final revelation, fans would discover a side of Haas they had never imagined. While Haas Cartwright became a household name for his kindness and gentle demeanor, the reality of producing a show like Bonanza was far more complicated. David Canary, who had first-hand experience with the pressures of the industry, understood that what audiences saw on screen was only a fraction of the effort, tension, and personal negotiation that went into every scene. Long hours on set, the need to maintain character consistency, and the pressure to meet both audience expectations and production demands made acting a high-stakes endeavor, even for someone as talented as Canary. One of the first truths Canary revealed involved the contrast between Haas's calm, steady persona and the sometimes chaotic environment of the show's production. While Haas appeared unflappable and universally beloved, the cast and crew often faced disagreements, tight deadlines, and personality clashes. Canary described the challenge of maintaining the warmth and moral certainty of Haas. While navigating these real-world tensions, the audience saw a character who seemed perfect, but behind the cameras, Canary was acutely aware of the human effort and emotional energy required to sustain that perfection for years. Another shocking truth had to do with the audience's perception of Haas versus the personal realities of the actors. Fans often assumed that the gentleness and kindness of Haas were reflections of Canary himself, or the other actors portraying the Cartwright family. Yet, Canary disclosed that actors are complex individuals who carry their own struggles, temperaments, and personal baggage into every role. Haas was a performance, a careful, thoughtful construction that demanded consistency and subtlety. Canary admitted that there were moments when sustaining the character's serene demeanor felt like walking a tightrope, balancing public expectation with personal authenticity. Canary also shed light on the psychological toll of long-term fame. Even in an era before social media made celebrities' lives an open book, playing such an iconic role for years meant that David Canary's identity became intertwined with Haas Cartwright in the public imagination. Fans often approached him as if he were the character himself, blurring the lines between actor and role. While this level of admiration was flattering, it was also exhausting, creating pressures that he had to manage quietly and carefully. For Canary, the greatest challenge was reconciling the demands of fame with his desire for privacy, personal growth, and authenticity. Cartwright, perhaps the most startling revelation, centered on the misconceptions about Haas's simplicity. Audiences often viewed Haas as a straightforward, almost idealized figure. But Canary explained that creating that simplicity on screen required immense skill, patience, and intentionality. Every expression, line delivery, and interaction had to be meticulously calibrated to maintain the character's integrity. The gentle giant image of Haas was not an accident, it was the product of careful craft, understanding human behavior, and navigating both narrative expectations and real-world constraints. David Canary's honesty about these behind-the-scenes realities challenges viewers to reconsider what they know about television legends. The beloved Haas Cartwright was not just a character brought to life. He was a carefully managed performance, shaped by a talented actor navigating pressures, personal struggles, and the complexities of the entertainment world. Canary's revelation reminds fans that the stories behind the scenes are often as compelling, complex, and surprising as those depicted on screen. Beyond the technical challenges of playing Haas Cartwright, David Canary revealed that the role carried an emotional weight few fans ever realized. while Haas was a symbol of steadfast kindness, loyalty, and moral clarity. Canary confessed that embodying such an idealized figure for years came with psychological and emotional pressures that were not apparent on screen. Each episode demanded not only professional skill, but also a careful navigation of personal emotions to maintain the character's authenticity. The serene and grounded Haas, Canary admitted, was the result of disciplined control and conscious restraint. Canary explained that maintaining the character's warmth while dealing with the stresses of production, public attention, and personal life often required tremendous inner focus. Actors, he noted, are frequently asked to suspend personal feelings in order to deliver consistent performances. And in the case of Haas, that meant keeping his own frustrations, doubts, and fatigue hidden. Audiences rarely, if ever, considered the sacrifices behind the screen, the countless hours of preparation, the pressure to meet both narrative and audience expectations, and the mental energy necessary to remain Haas at all times, even in difficult circumstances. Another surprising revelation involved the relationship between the cast members themselves. While the Cartwright family's on-screen chemistry appeared effortless, Canary shared that maintaining that harmony off-screen required patience, compromise, and sometimes silent endurance. Personal disagreements, miscommunications, and professional frustrations were inevitable. Yet the actors had to maintain the illusion of unity for the audience. Canary's insight showed that the magic of television often depends on a complex mix of talent, discipline, and emotional labor, a reality that many viewers never fully grasped. Canary also discussed the unique challenge of fan expectations. Haas Cartwright was beloved, and audiences had very specific ideas about how he should behave. Fans expected unwavering morality, calmness, and emotional stability from the character, which in turn placed subtle pressure on Canary to meet those expectations both on and off the set. He recounted instances where public interactions highlighted this phenomenon. Fans treated him as if he were the character, projecting their trust, affection, and moral judgment onto him. While flattering, this projection blurred the line between actor and role, creating an additional layer of responsibility that few outside the industry could understand. Most poignantly, Canary's revelations highlight the human cost of portraying an iconic character. The serenity, kindness, and moral certainty of Haas Cartwright were not just elements of a script, they were performances, carefully maintained by an actor grappling with the realities of fame, expectations, and personal identity. Canary's admission serves as a reminder that the character's audience's love often come with unseen labor and sacrifice, and that the public rarely sees the full scope of an actor's commitment and resilience. In sharing these truths shortly before his death, David Canary offered fans a rare and intimate glimpse into the world behind Haas Cartwright. It was a revelation that reshaped how many viewed both the character and the actor, challenging assumptions and deepening appreciation for the complexity, skill, and emotional depth required to bring such an enduring figure to life. Haas may have seemed effortless on screen, but Canary's insight reminds us that greatness often comes at a quiet, personal cost. As David Canary neared the end of his life, his reflections on Haas Cartwright took on a deeper, more personal tone. Beyond the technical challenges and emotional weight of playing such an iconic character, Canary's final revelation revealed how much the role had shaped him, not just as an actor, but as a person. Haas Cartwright was more than a character. He had become a mirror reflecting Canary's own journey, his struggles with public perception, and the delicate balance between persona and reality. Canary admitted that for years, he carried a quiet tension between the public's image of Haas and the realities of being an actor. Behind the scenes, audiences expected a seamless portrayal of kindness, integrity, and emotional stability. Yet the reality required Canary to navigate moments of frustration, personal doubt, and professional pressure. This duality, he revealed, was the shocking truth many fans never understood. Haas's perfection on screen was a carefully constructed performance, one that demanded discipline, resilience, and constant attention to detail. Perhaps most strikingly, Canary disclosed how much the role had influenced his interactions with fans. People often approached him as if he were Haas himself, expecting the same moral clarity, calmness, and warmth that the character embodied. While many of these interactions were positive, they could also be overwhelming, blurring the lines between the man and the character. Canary confessed that he had to develop a strong sense of self to maintain his own identity. While meeting the expectations of millions who adored Haas, it was a delicate balance between gratitude, responsibility, and personal authenticity, an emotional tightrope few ever considered. His final revelations also touched on the broader lessons of fame, legacy, and the human cost of embodying an icon. Canary reminded fans that beloved characters are crafted through immense labor, emotional investment, and personal sacrifice. Haas Cartwright's enduring popularity was a testament not only to the character, but also to the skill, patience, and heart of the actor who brought him to life. Canary's candidness illuminated the often unseen realities of acting, the mental energy required, the navigation of public expectation, and the emotional fortitude necessary to sustain such a role for decades. In sharing these truths before his passing, David Canary provided a gift to fans, a more nuanced understanding of Haas Cartwright, and a glimpse into the inner life of the man who had dedicated himself to the character. His revelations challenged assumptions, deepened appreciation, and reminded audiences that even the most iconic figures on screen are human, with their own struggles, insights, and sacrifices. Ultimately, Canary's reflections cemented both his legacy and that of Haas Cartwright. He demonstrated that behind every enduring television character lies a story of dedication, resilience, and complexity. For fans, the final lesson is clear. The magic of Haas Cartwright was real, but it was also the product of a human being navigating a world of expectations, pressures, and personal growth. In revealing the truth, David Canary allowed Haas to live on with even greater depth and meaning, leaving a legacy that is richer, more human, and profoundly unforgettable.